Hello friends, I am Leneha Junsu. Welcome to my channel that is all about enhancing what you have. Today I am back with another ghost stories, and today I will be sharing ghost stories with all of you. Now before we start the video, if you're new here, I share ghost stories or real ghost or paranormal incidents sent to me by you guys, by my friends, and some of them are of my own. Today I have a guest with me, which is my friend Aiman. She has previously shared some of her stories and she is part of our ghost stories gang in the previous videos, and so today I invited her to share her stories by herself. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started, and do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you have any stories of yours and you want to share it with all of us, then you just have to DM me on my Instagram, that is Leneha Junsu. So let's get started. Oh yes, before I start, I will be looking down when I will be reading the stories, and that is because I have all the stories written here. Okay, let's get started. So this first story is by one of my subscribers, which is cicada_ghost. Hello, this is Grey Ghost from YouTube. Grey Ghost. Hopefully this is the right place to submit, or this will be embarrassing. It was. I will just tell my story. I promise. Every word of it is true. I grew up in a house with some spirits that would appear out of the corner of your eyes. But when I moved into the large apartment in another part of the town with the father of my child, that I experienced so much more. The apartment was not as old as my 100-year-old house I grew up in, but I'm not sure how old it was. The kitchen and bathroom were pink, and there were 2 bedrooms, a dining room, and a large living room. I fell in love with it immediately. For a while everything was fine, but then that changed. So much happened that I'm not sure what exact order all these events occurred in, but they all happened weeks apart. I remember the smallest but still worrying thing that happened was this large knife went missing. I purposely kept it in a special place because it was sharp and the longest, biggest knife. Forgive me, I don't use Insta much, but anyway, the knife went missing, and that was weird, and we argued about it, but I forgot it. The next strangest things to happen was that I was awoken in the middle of the night by what sounded like furniture being moved across the wood floor. When I went out in the morning, my armchair I had gotten from my grandmother was pushed out of the corner in the living room. Another night I was asleep with my child's father, and I dreamed that I was awake in my bed. Exactly I was at that moment with my child father's arms over me. I was like I was paralyzed, but completely awake in my bed, and everything was the same as a moment before, except I noticed an extra hand among our arms. Whoa. As soon as I noticed the arm the size of the child's, it disappeared under the blankets. I began freaking out in my paralysis state, and my child's father woke me up saying I was tossing and turning violently in my sleep, and I told him my dream. The next thing that happened was that I was on my phone and walking into the bathroom one random night. We have this toy fishing rod and toy fish for sitting on the toilet. Usually the rod is on the windowsill, but as I was walking in, I looked up and happened to see the toy fishing rod, about a foot-long plastic toy with a string, fall from the height of the top of the window. It fell onto the floor and I jumped. But that was nothing compared to the most freaky part. One day I was alone facing the wall in the kitchen making coffee. In my mind, I suddenly got this image of the dining room, what I would have seen if I simply turned around. So I did. I turned around. What appeared before me, only long enough for me to scream and drop my coffee, was a black shadow person, the size of a child with glowing red eyes. I screamed because it appeared and disappeared so suddenly. I remember creeping around the edge of the kitchen to get to my phone and call my child's father and tell him what happened. A few weeks later, my child's father woke me up as I was sleeping looking white as a sheet. I said, "You look like you saw a ghost," and he told me about some tin foil that levitated and floated around, I guess. I laughed and said, "I told you." And shortly after that, we broke up and I moved out, and thank goodness I haven't experienced anything like that since.
That child thing was really
like
scary.
Imagine living in a house that is haunted, but then you start seeing entities. You know what's more sad? Because sometimes you don't have the finances to walk out.
I do have another experience to share.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
The hostel that I used to live in, it's hostel number 1 of Punjab University, right? So it's the
in Lahore,
yes,
right?
In Lahore.
In old campus.
No, we used to live in the new campus, but the hostel
Okay.
that I used to live in, it's the oldest one, and
Okay.
I'm not sure how old it is, but I think it's like it's really old. When new campus was made, it's from that time.
Like she has also shared some of her stories, and I have shared it in the previous videos. So in case you would like to see those, it's just, you know, in the previous stories.
The hostel one would be mine.
Yeah, in the previous videos, yeah. So in case you want to know, so yeah.
Okay, so my roommate was, one time she was not in my room, and I'm not usually easily scared, so I was just sleeping there with all the lights off and my door locked as usual. So I was just sleeping, and then I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw someone was standing in the corner of the room near the table, and that was like I just saw a silhouette. It was just like a shadow, and that I don't know why I remember this specific detail, but the guy was wearing a suit, pant and coat, a proper suit, and
that sounds sexy.
Yeah. I wish I could have seen his face, but maybe it was scary.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, that guy coughed, like he did this. He cleared his throat, and I was so scared. I tried to move my hand towards.
So what did you thought? Like it was a human, or you were sure that it was paranormal?
I was sure that it was something else.
Okay.
But then again, it might be a dream or something, because I was sleeping, and so I tried to move my hand towards my roommate's bed. I thought she was laying there, but when I turned around and I turned my head and I saw it, she wasn't sleeping there because she wasn't in the room.
So you were alone?
Yes, I was alone. So I closed my eyes, I started reciting again, and I started praying that there was nothing here, and if it was in my heart I was sure that it was going to strangle me too. But I was just praying and praying. I was even praying that the cats would just come inside and help me or something.
Yeah, you had cats, I remember.
Yes. But then later, I don't know if I fell asleep or if I fainted or whatever, but then I suddenly woke up, and it was so dark. I think this was a part
what
of the
time
dream.
was that?
Right after that happened.
No, like it was 1 a.m, 2 a.m. at night.
I think it was around 2:30 or 3 a.m.
Okay.
Yes, and then I woke up and it was so dark. There was no light, even not the gallery light. It's usually on in the night, so our rooms are a little lit. So I just got up and I was just feeling things, that where I should go. I was so scared. I just wanted to go out of the room. That thing wasn't there anymore, but I just wanted to run out. Then I reached a door and I opened it, but that was my wardrobe. It scared me even more. I thought someone was going to suck me in. And I just felt my clothes, and I knew that the door was next to my wardrobe.
And where was your phone?
My phone was with me in my pocket, in my hoodie.
But you didn't have the courage to even lift that.
Yes, no. I just wanted to get out. Then I opened the door and I ran out. It was so dark, you know, like in a like sometimes you close your eyes and you see just everything is dark gray and there are just white dots there.
Yeah.
It was that dark. Like I could not see properly, and I just ran here. I took my phone out to call my senior, but there was no service. And that was definitely a dream, because then I saw a little girl in the stairs and she was sitting with her knees up, and like she was just sitting like Samara Morgan. She was like that from the ring, and I was sure she wasn't a real girl, and she was crying, and I just ran back and I
into the room.
No, like ran downstairs from the other stairs. And I tried calling my senior, but again no service. I texted her. I tried calling someone else, but there was no one in the hostel.
So like you're saying that you think that this was a dream, right?
Yes.
But did you found the texts?
No, I did not. That was the dream. But when I woke up, my phone did not have any service in real.
Okay.
I don't know why. The signal thing was,
you know, crossed. Okay.
And but I was sure that, like, I don't think that part was a dream when I felt like someone was standing there. Like that was too real to be a dream.
Oh my god.
Because I was not paralyzed or anything, because I could move freely. I was just not moving because I was too scared. Then I just covered myself and started reciting and all. Then I fell asleep, and then that was a fever dream kind of thing when I just ran out and experienced all that.
Oh my god. So I have another story, and this has been sent by Misbah Khalid, and she lives in I.9/1 in Islamabad. So we had been staying in far-flung remote areas of Balochistan due to job of my father, and often came across quite unusual incidents which did not have any logical explanations. But this happened in Islamabad around 2003 when I was doing my bachelor's. The duty of locking main gate was of my dad, but at times he used to sleep early and I was asked to do it. Our gate is like usual ones of steel panels with gap between end panels where it connects to wall. So in a way, you can have very clear glimpse of street as the gap is quite wide. Is that a gap or gate?
I think it's a gate.
Anyway, so I think that is gate. Okay. One night around 11 p.m, my mother told me that my father has slept and I'll have to lock the gate. I got busy in something, and almost at 12:20 I realized gate was still unlocked. My mother had gone into her room and was preparing to sleep. I rushed outside, locked the gate, and as soon as I turned back, I felt I saw something through the gate. To be honest, I was scared to look back, and while thinking about it, I took few steps toward our corridor door. I gathered the courage and I turned back and couldn't figure out what was that at first sight. When I focused, it was someone tall, very tall. Our street is a small one, and so is our porch, so I could clearly see it was someone very tall, covered in a black cap burqa style sheet. I stared in horror to reconfirm and was terrified that whatever that creature was, its head was near bulb of street light. I was in porch and now could see its head reaching from light from above the gate as well. I was stuck there and felt my feet are not moving. I called for my mother. She said she was in bed already, and though I didn't scream, but there was something in my voice that she rushed outside. When she got up, my dad rushed after her as well. They say when they saw me, I was shivering badly. My dad asked a couple of times that what happened, but I was in no position of responding and started crying. My mother said by the situation they got, I have seen something unusual and refrained asking further questions. They took me inside, both kept on doing some recitations of Holy Quran and surahs, and I only kept on saying, I am scared. Next morning, I had a high fever, which continued for 3 days. Parents asked me a couple of times what happened, but to be honest, what I saw didn't make any sense and I couldn't share. 2 weeks after, on breakfast table, my mother told that God of Street came to tell he's leaving the job and company will arrange a new person. My mother said this is very weird and he was saying weird things. I asked what. My mother said that when he was on round every night, there was this long lady wearing a silhouette that she was always following him every night, and this was happening from a month. I just kind of froze again and told my mother what happened that night. For many years after that, I stayed hell scared by looking out of gate at night time.
Said something about the mango tree as well.
Yeah, just shut up. I'm scared right now and you must be going anytime. I don't want to
into
be
the creepy apartment again.
Yeah. But better than this one because I'm gonna be alone. You have your sister.
Yes. Okay, so I have another story.
Okay.
It's mainly about black magic. How I said before that like incidents have happened in my family before. So my grandpa and my grandma used to live in Quetta before, where my father was born as well.
Okay.
But before everyone, they had a son.
Okay.
And the neighbor, she was also their relative. I'm not really like, I don't remember that much of the story, but we don't usually talk about it that much.
Okay.
But they had a son and he was like a really healthy baby and he was really cute. The neighbors, the woman, she did not have a child at that time.
Yeah.
And they were trying and trying, but they did not have a child. So she went to someone and they told them to give this taweez to the baby.
The amulet.
Yes, the amulet to the baby, and then you will have a child of your own. And my grandparents just trusted the neighbor, and she would ask that I want to play with the baby and I want to feed him and stuff. And they didn't know my grandma was really sweet. She would be like, yes, she does not have a baby of her own, you can play with him. And she would like give him the amulet, and the baby would, like, my uncle would suck on it. And as time passed, he began to like get thin, like you told about the doctor, right? That, and my uncle,
his health was deteriorating.
Yes, that's what happened to my uncle, and he was like getting thinner and thinner day by day, and the doctors did not know what to do and everything. And then they went to a spiritual healer, and he asked the woman to give them the amulet, and they would somehow reverse it and try to fix it, but she did not. She didn't do it. And there was so much, like, a huge argument and there was such a huge fight, but my uncle eventually passed away and the woman had a baby after 9 months.
And what if that child later on, like, he's possessed with some demon or something? People don't think about it, right?
Yes, it would eventually, strike her back. I'll ask my aunt later, and I'll tell you that did something bad happen to them yet or not. But I think that something might have happened to the woman. Like, these things usually, turn around.
Obviously.
People don't understand the consequences. They just want something and they just get it somehow. They just want to get it somehow. They don't understand that God has other plans,
True.
They don't have a child, that's probably better for them. But killing a child to get a child, that is
So no.
That is demonic.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that was all from our side, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.